twisted. The way your presence slipped into my ordinary day and turned it luminous without asking permission. Like a radiant whisper drifting through still air and settling gently inside my chest. I remember the first time our shoulders brushed, how the smallest contact sparked a warmth that lingered long after we stepped apart. As though my heart had quietly memorized the sensation. Your smile carries a promise I can't quite name, steady and glowing. And every time you look at me that way, I feel the world narrow into something intimate and bright. There is a sweetness in our shared laughter, a rhythm forming between our voices that feels natural, unforced, like a melody that has always existed but is only now being heard. Even silence feels alive when we stand close, rich with anticipation and unspoken understanding. I find myself tracing the outline of your words long after they fade, replaying the softness in your tone and the certainty in your gaze. Doesn't rush, it unfolds carefully, petal by petal, revealing warmth beneath warmth, until my guarded edges dissolve completely. I no longer fear the fall, because falling toward you feels like rising, like stepping into light that was meant for me all along. If this is the beginning, then let it continue to bloom in quiet brilliance, a radiant whisper growing into something enduring and beautifully ours.
I never expected my heart to race so quietly, but the first time you looked at me with that thoughtful intensity, something shifted as if the horizon inside me had been brushed with crimson and gold. There was no grand declaration, only a steady awareness that being near you felt different, like discovering a melody I had always known but never fully heard. Your presence carries a warmth that spreads gradually, wrapping around my guarded edges and softening them into something open and brave. Every laugh we share leaves a glowing imprint, every shared secret another layer of trust, unfolding like petals at dusk. When your hand rests near mine, I feel the subtle current waiting to bridge the space. And when it finally does, the contact feels natural and certain, like a promise spoken without words. Time stretches gently around us, allowing each glance to linger, each breath to synchronize until our heartbeats seem to echo the same rhythm. I find myself imagining tomorrow shaped by this growing closeness, mornings warmed by your quiet smile, and evenings filled with conversations that drift effortlessly into dreams. This feeling is not a fleeting spark, but a steady horizon glowing brighter with every step we take together. With you, love feels courageous yet calm, thrilling yet grounded, like standing at the edge of something beautiful, and knowing without hesitation that it is safe to move forward.
The first time you stood close enough for me to feel your warmth, my thoughts scattered like light across water. And I realized something gentle yet powerful was beginning to rise within me. It wasn't loud or overwhelming. It moved like a luminous tide, steady and patient, brushing against the edges of my guarded heart, until I could no longer pretend I didn't feel it. Your eyes hold a quiet intensity, a softness that makes me feel understood before I speak. And every time they meet mine, I sense a spark traveling through the silence between us. Walking beside you feels like drifting toward a shoreline I've always searched for, calm yet thrilling, familiar yet entirely new. When you laugh, the sound settles into me like warmth after a long night, bright and comforting, impossible to ignore. I replay the smallest details, the way your voice slows when you share something honest, the gentle confidence in your smile that makes my pulse quicken without warning. Even the space between our hands feels alive, charged with anticipation, as if the universe itself is waiting for that final inch to disappear. And when it does, when our fingers intertwine, the world seems to exhale, as though it has been holding its breath alongside us. With you, love feels like a rising tide of light, filling every corner of my world with hope, turning ordinary days into something radiant and unforgettable.
Didn't see it coming, the way your presence would color my quiet routines. But from the moment you stepped into my orbit, everything seemed warmer, as if the sky itself had been brushed with embers at dusk. There is a steady glow in your smile that melts through hesitation, leaving behind a soft courage I didn't know I possessed. When we talk, even about simple things, there's a rhythm beneath our words, a subtle harmony building note by note, promising something deeper than coincidence. Your touch, even fleeting, sends a bright current through my veins, not chaos but certain, like a flame learning how to burn without fear. I catch myself looking for you in every room, my heartbeat lifting the instant you appear, as though it recognizes you before my mind does. Time feels different when we're together, stretched and illuminated, each second polished into a memory worth keeping. I used to believe love arrived like a storm, but with you it feels like embered skies at twilight, glowing steadily, spreading warmth across everything it reaches. There is no doubt in the way you hold my gaze, no hesitation in the way our hands fit perfect together. And as this quiet fire grows brighter, I know we are standing at the beginning of something enduring, something fierce yet gentle, a love that will carry its glow far beyond this beautiful trembling star. There is a quiet gravity in the way you stand near me, a pull so natural. It feels like destiny disguised as coincidence. And from the very first conversation, I sense something unfolding, delicate yet undeniable, like a silver bloom opening on patient moonlight. I never believed anticipation could feel this steady, this warm, but every glance you send my way carries a spark that settles deep within my chest and refuses to fade. Your laughter moves through me like a soft breeze, clearing away the lingering doubts I once guarded so carefully. And I realize that with you I no longer need those defenses. When you reach for my hand, even briefly, the world narrows into that single point of contact, a quiet electricity, weaving our separate stories into one shared rhythm. Time feels different around you, slower yet brighter, as if each second has been polished into something worth remembering. I find myself noticing the smallest details, the curve of your smile, the thoughtful pause before you speak, the warmth in your eyes that tells me I am seen exactly as I am. This feeling isn't loud or overwhelming, it grows gently like petals unfolding one by one, revealing layers of trust, admiration, and hope. I imagine our future not as a distant dream, When you stepped into my day, it felt like the sky quietly changed to shade, turning from pale blue into a velvet sunrise that wrapped every ordinary corner of my world in a warm and trembling possibility. I didn't expect my careful heart to respond so quickly, but the moment your eyes met mine, there was a gentle shift, like gravity deciding to favor a new direction, pulling me closer without force, without fear. Your smile carries a softness that lingers long after it fades, settling into my thoughts and lighting them from within. And I find myself replaying that first spark, as if it were the opening note of a song written just for steps has always belonged together, like the distance between our hands is simply a breath waiting to disappear. When our fingers finally brush, the contact is quiet yet electric, sending a warm current through me that turns doubt into courage and hesitation into hope. You speak my name with a tenderness that makes it feel newly discovered, and every syllable seems to echo against the walls I once built, gently dissolving them until nothing remains but open sky. Shared glances that say more than entire conversations ever could. I notice how the air seems brighter when you left, how the world slows just enough for me to memorize the way your eyes soften, the way your voice lowers when you lean closer.
From the first second our eyes collided across that restless evening crowd, something within me awakened like a hidden dawn. Subtle yet unstoppable, spreading warmth through places I didn't even know were waiting for light. I remember how your smile lingered, not flashy or loud, but steady and luminous, as if it carried its own quiet sunrise just for me. The air between us felt charged, not with chaos, but with possibility, a gentle spark, weaving invisible threads that drew me closer, step by step. When we finally spoke, explode. Your voice settled over my thoughts like soft golden light, calming every doubt and replacing it with a thrill that felt both new and strangely familiar. Walking beside you, I sense the world adjusting its rhythm, traffic fading into background, distant noise dissolving, until all that remained was the subtle harmony of our footsteps aligning. There is something magical in the way your fingers brush mine, a delicate electricity that travels straight to my heartbeat, turning anticipation into something tangible and bright. I find myself smiling for no reason, replaying the curve of your laughter, the warmth in your gaze that makes me feel seen without explanation. Even the quiet pauses between our words feel meaningful, rich with emotions neither of us rushes to name, as though we both understand that some beginnings deserve to unfold slowly with you. Love doesn't crash like thunder, it rises like an aurora across a dark sky, soft waves of color spreading steadily. Felt it first in the hush before you spoke, a tender pull beneath my ribs like the tide, responding to a distant moon. And when your eyes found mine, the world tilted gently towards something brighter, something impossibly new and alive. There is a warmth in the way you say my name, as if each syllable were dipped in sunlight. And every time it leaves your lips, I feel the shy flutter of 1,000 hidden wings rising inside me, lifting my spirit into a sky painted in shades of hope, walking beside you at dusk, when the horizon melts into amber and rose. Oh, I realize that love is not a sudden blaze, but a slow golden hour that lingers on our skin, turning simple gestures into treasures and quiet conversations into constellations only we can see. Your hand in mine feels like the most natural miracle step touch would shatter everything, but you move through my fears with such gentle certainty that the walls crumble without sound, leaving nothing but open sky and endless possibility.
Thought endings would feel sharp, decisive, like the door closing with certainty.
Instead, this one unfolded slowly, asking to be understood rather than resisted.
I carried it with me for a long time, unsure where it belonged.
Playing moments as if repetition could change their meaning. I want clarity to arrive suddenly, to declare that everything had ended for a reason. I could summarize, but endings are rarely that generous.
This one asked me to sit with ambiguity.
To accept that some things conclude without clean explanations.
I had to grave not just what was lost, but what would never be resolved.
There were no final words that fixed everything, no closure that tied it neatly together. Closure came quietly through acceptance rather than understanding. I stopped asking why
And started noticing how much lighter I felt when I stopped carrying unanswered questions. The ending rested when I allowed it to.
when I stopped dragging it forward into
New chapters. It did not erase what came before. It placed it where it belonged, behind me. Complete.
I learned that endings don't always demand forgiveness or
Forgetting. Sometimes they only ask for release.
And when I finally let this one rest, I felt space open up,
Not for replacement, but for peace. This is where the ending settled, not as regret,
not as long.
but as something finished, honored, and finally allowed to stay. Before you walk into my quiet afternoon, the air began to shimmer like dancing on water, and suddenly every ordinary sound turned into a melody written just for us. My heart catching the rhythm of your smile, as if it had been waiting all along for that single spark to begin its symphony. I never believed in fate that could rearrange the sky, but when your fingers brushed against mine, the world softened, colors deepened, and even the distant cloud seemed to drift a little slower turning them into gentle feathers that float away without a trace. And I find myself leaning closer, memorizing the curve of your voice, as though it were the only compass I would ever need. Every step beside you feels like stepping onto a bridge made of light, suspended between who I used to be and who I am becoming in your presence, fearless and wide awake, trembling yet certain that this sweet anticipation is not a passing breeze, but a season unfolding. When you look at me, there is a promise in your eyes, quiet blazing, telling me that love is not thunder, but a steady sunrise, warming the edges of my guarded heart until it opens, petal by petal, without resistance.
From the first quiet glance we shared across a crowded room, something in the air shifted like a curtain lifting to reveal a brighter sky. And I felt my guarded heart begin to lean toward you without hesitation, curious and trembling in the sweetest way. Your presence moves through me like a gentle current, steady and warm, turning simple moments into luminous memories I wanna hold on to forever. When you speak, your voice wraps around my thoughts like soft twilight. Calming every restless doubt and replacing it with a growing certainty that this feeling is real and beautifully alive. I catch myself smiling at nothing, replaying the way your eyes soften when they meet mine, the way your laughter rises and settles like sunlight on quiet water. Walking beside you feels like discovering a new horizon, one painted in colors I never noticed before, subtle shades of hope and wonder that bloom brighter with every step we take together. There is a tense electricity in the space between our hands, a spark waiting to bridge the distance, and when our fingers finally intertwine, it feels like the most natural promise, silent yet powerful. I never knew anticipation could be this gentle, this full of life, like standing at the edge of a sunrise. Knowing the day will be extraordinary, with you even the smallest gestures carry meaning. A shared look, a soft laugh, a lingering pause that says more than words ever could. My heart beats with a new rhythm now, steady but quickened, as if it has learned a melody written only for us. If love is a journey, against my ordinary thoughts. Everything softened into something luminous and new, like moonlight spilling gently across a quiet sea. There is a quiet thrill in the way you look at me. Oh. A spark that lingers just long enough to set my pulse race, and my imagination soaring beyond the edges of what I once believed was possible. Every word we share feels like a step deeper into a daydream neither of us wants to wake from. A place where time slows and the outside noise fades into distant echoes. When you laugh, it's as if the stars themselves lean closer, curious about the what grew between us. And I feel my heart opening wider each passing second. Your hand near mine sends a soft rush through my veins, not overwhelming but steady and bright, like a promise waiting to be spoken. I find comfort in the way you listen, in the gentle focus of your gaze that makes me feel seen and understood without effort. The world seems lighter when we stand side by side, colors richer and sweeter as the love is quietly adjusted. Every detail to frame this beginning perfectly. I carry your presence with me, even when we part. A glowing memory that lives beneath my skin and keeps my thoughts drifting back to you with an eager smile. This isn't a fleeting spark or a passing breeze. It's a growing warmth that settles deep and steady, 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 inviting me to nurture, to let it bloom at its own beautiful pace.
So softly I almost missed it. The way your presence slipped into my ordinary day and turned it luminous without asking permission. Like a radiant whisper drifting through still air and settling gently inside my chest. I remember the first time our shoulders brushed, how the smallest contact sparked a warmth that lingered long after we stepped apart. As though my heart had quietly memorized the sensation. Your smile carries a promise I can't quite name, steady and glowing. And every time you look at me that way, I feel the world narrow into something intimate and bright. There is a sweetness in our shared laughter, a rhythm forming between our voices that feels natural, unforced, like a melody that has always existed but is only now being heard. Even silence feels alive when we stand close, rich with anticipation and unspoken. petal, revealing warmth beneath warmth, until my guarded edges dissolve completely. I no longer fear the fall, because falling toward you feels like rising, like stepping into light that was meant for me all along. If this is the beginning, then let it continue to bloom in quiet brilliance, a radiant whisper growing into something enduring and beautifully ours.
I never expected my hurt to waste so quietly. But the first time you looked at me with that thoughtful intensity, something shifted as if the horizon inside me had been brushed with crimson and gold. There was no grand declaration, only a steady awareness that being near you felt different, deeper, like discovering a melody. I had always known, but never fully heard. Your presence carries a warmth that spreads gradually, wrapping around my guarded edges and softening them into something open and brave. Ever your laugh we share leaves a glowing imprint. Every shade secret, another layer of trust unfolding like petals of dust. When your hand rests near mine, I feel the subtle current waiting to bridge the space. And when it finally does, the contact feels natural and certain, like a promise spoken without words. Time stretches gently around us, allowing each glance to linger, each breath to synchronize, until our heartbeats seem to echo the same rhythm. I find myself imagining tomorrow shaped by this growing closeness. Mornings warmed by your quiet smile, and evenings filled with conversations that drift effortlessly into dreams. This feeling is not a fleeting spark, but a steady horizon, glowing brighter with every step we take together. With you, love feels courageous yet calm.
First time you stood close enough for me to feel you. My thoughts scattered like light across water. And I realized something gentle yet powerful was beginning to rise within me. It wasn't loud or overwhelming. It moved like a luminous tide, steady and patient, brushing against the edges of my guarded heart, until I could no longer pretend I didn't feel it. Your eyes hold a quiet intensity, a softness that makes me feel understood before I speak. And every time they meet mine, I sense a spark traveling through the silence between us. Walking beside you feels like drifting toward a shoreline. I've always said something honest, a gentle confidence in your smile that makes my pulse quicken without warning. Even the space between our hands feels alive, charged with anticipation, as if the universe itself is waiting for that final inch to disappear. And when it does, when our fingers intertwine, the world seems to exhale as though it has been holding its breath alongside us. With you, it feels like a rising tide of life, filling every corner of my world with hope. Turning ordinary days into something radiant and unforgettable.
For me to hear the subtle change in your breathing, I felt my own heart beating so, as if it had finally found the rhythm it had been searching for. The quiet spaces of ordinary days, there was nothing dramatic in that moment. No sudden thunder, only a golden pulse rising gently between us. Warm and steady, impossible to ignore. Your eyes carried a softness that made me brave, that invited me to step forward without armor, without the careful distance I once kept. When you smiled, the corners of your lips lifted like dawn, touching the edge of a sleeping horizon. And I felt something inside me bloom in response. Even our smallest conversation shimmer with meaning. Every shared laugh a spark that settles deep and glows long after the sound fades. I notice the way your hand lingers when it meets mine, how our fingers seem to understand each other before we speak, weaving together as if they've rehearsed this closeness for years. Time stretches differently around you.